You are about as safe as the information that you're working with. It's like going somewhere. If you put in the wrong address, you're going to end up in the wrong place. It is more critical than ever to know what you're talking about, to have multiple sources, to be able to look at a Rubik's Cube and know that it's not just red. There's a lot more sides to it than ever. And nobody can break it down, show you more than one sides to things better than the one, the only Mel K.
Yay!
Love your audience. God, I'm so excited to be back as always. It's my favorite children.
It was great to see you in Batavia.
Oh, wasn't it great? It's getting better and better. So many more Patriots. And the best part is we were driving up there. You know, we live in New York City. It's still 6 hours north.
Yeah.
People think New York. And I feel bad for the rest of New York that New York City is so much power.
Man.
But, you know, it's so beautiful up there.
Yes.
And we were passing all the Amish farms. And I was like, we need to get the Amish involved. We got to get to the people that don't follow politics, that aren't involved with the machine, that don't go on social media, but they know something is very wrong in America. So anyone watching this out there who has friends that you're like, yeah, Joe doesn't really do the politics thing. Well, you better go tell Joe that he needs to start doing the politics thing because it's not about politics. It's about America, because we got to really start breaking out of our even the left paradigm and start looking at there are 30% of Americans do not vote, and they're feeling the same pain, the same anxiety, the same certainty that something is very wrong in America. And I think that group of people is probably the most in need of joining up and helping us save America.
Yeah,
totally
it does
agree.
take everybody. We say it all the time. We all need to be involved. Everybody's an important piece of this puzzle. But it was interesting hearing from you, down the street from you, there's a Mark of the Beast statue in front of the UN, and you hear all this stuff. And we fly into Rochester and drive out to Batavia. I'm like, this looks
all this Trump
this
stuff.
looks nothing like what Mel describes. It's rolling hills with farms and cows, and I'm like, this looks like Missouri. This is just amazing. It's incredible.
That's a pretty different state.
Yeah, upstate New York is so beautiful, and I don't know if you guys, when you were driving, saw the signs like, we don't need zoning, or there was like all these signs about leaving the farmers alone and stuff. It's really, and the economy is terrible here, but upstate New York is so beautiful, especially near Lake Seneca, near the Finger Lake. Like, it's just a beautiful, it's sad.
It's nicely landscaped by God. It's just, it's beautiful. I want to make a couple announcements here as we get into this. We got a lot of content we're going to plow through today. You need to go to themelkshow.com. If you're listening, you're on Podbean or Apple or anywhere else. If you're out there in Beck TV land and in the Dakotas or anywhere, write down this website, themelkshow.com. And here's what you need to do. You need to go there and register for her newsletter. It's free.
So important.
But increasingly, and you're going to know why by the time this episode's over, there is a tremendous squash on information to where you don't have a blue pill and a red pill choice. You just have the one that they shove in your mouth and squish your mouth shut, make you swallow, and you didn't even see what color it was. That is what the goal is. And so if you want that option, you want information, go there and register for her newsletter. It's free. Put that in there. And you want to go to the resources section. Another thing on themelkshow.com. I say this every week when we talk to her, but you could spend the next decade of your life, 10, 12 hours a day, studying and researching international newspapers and history and reading everything. Or you can go here and kind of do the couch potato thing and just click and let her spoon feed it to you, because whatever you're looking for, the documents and the receipts are there. We show images, links, websites throughout this show. If you want access to those, send us a text. Some of you guys are watching on television or other places, so there is no links below. And so simply text us at 40509. The word Mel could not possibly be simpler. 3 letters, MEL. Put those in the message part. And then the number you're sending it to is 40509, the word Mel. You'll get an auto reply, bada boom, bada bing. And it's all of our past shows as well, all curated into a link. And you'll have the images, links, clips, everything that we show today.
Hey, Mel, I have to tell you something. When we were in Batavia, somebody came by our booth, and he does research for a living. And he was talking about how impressive your website was. And all of your links, awesome. He was blown away with what you offer and just the research that you've done. But he kept going on and on about it. I was like, that's pretty cool. When that's his profession, that's what he does. And he was googly over it.
Did not cheap out.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we put a lot of effort into it, really, because, there are there's a lot of speculation and theories and all that, but there's a ton of facts and truth that are enough.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's a lot of great people that I follow that I want to at least give a hat tip to and say these are the people that I personally check their sites every day. And then at the same time, there's so much you can look up that can empower you, from the FBI D-class to old CIA document D-class, if you're looking into our history, to there's the WikiLeaks from John Podesta and all of that, which are a treasure trove of information. And, we have resources for trafficking. We have resources for looking at who's running and where the money's coming from, and all the NGOs and Influence Watch and who's funding the destruction of America. So, and I think it's really important that once people start looking into it, we have a friend in New York who he has no idea. Like, he's totally on the left. He's really a real smart guy. He's a PhD from Columbia, very smart. But really still has been very brainwashed. And just the other day, for the first time, we convinced him that the CDC was primarily funded by Bill Gates. He didn't believe it, and he had to look it up. And he couldn't believe it. He actually got upset that he didn't know this. And I said, well, we've been telling you for 2.5 years.
Where you been, man?
Yeah. Well, he always says, yeah, okay, Mo, okay. But it went through, and he goes, well, this should be a conflict of interest. And I was like, you think? But everyone wakes up in their own time. So that's the good news.
That's for sure.
And as they wake up, that's the best place when you're having conversations with your brother-in-law or whatever. And they're kind of, it's like a sweater. Once it gets a snag, it just starts to unravel. Mm-hmm. And it's more than you can personally handle. A new person that just figures this stuff out is kind of like a new person just joined CrossFit. They're kind of like, it's kind of hard to, that's all they talk about. And so you just send them to her site, and they can begin weaving their way through that, go through the history of this. You don't have to be the single source. Send them there and say, you might want to look into this. Just ask good questions, but put them in the resources section of themelkshow.com. I'll tell you guys, listeners, honestly, we have meet and greets. We spend a lot of private time talking with Mel. You know what the conversations are like? What keeps her up at night and she wakes up in the morning thinking about is like, how can we take this information and make it palatable for people, to put it in a format where they get it, to make it where they like, this isn't trying to build a platform for her fame, or there'd be a million things she could be doing besides this that would be more profitable, easier, more fun, less hate, everything else. She wants you to get it because she cares about not just our country, but the world at this point. And information is the answer, because we're in an information war. So take note of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the most important thing. First and foremost, bringing that up. And the thing we do on this show that I do with you guys is we don't only pull out what I have been thinking about this week, that really the people need to know, the facts, the information, the players, what's going on really, and back it up to inform themselves. On top of that, we keep going back to the same point, which is it is a small group of self-chosen elitist bankers, billionaires, trillionaires, and people that were either through nepotism or grooming have been selected by what I call the Fourth Reich, the world government, whatever you want to call it. It hasn't changed in 100 years. It's the same thing. And but it's a very small group of people, which I'll show you again today. And the question you have to always ask, I think, and everyone should be asking, is A, who benefits? And B, is there a financial gain to what is going on, and who gains that money? Because it's all about right now what we're dealing with the Great Reset and the entire overthrow of all of our economies, all of our ways of life. The whole track and trace surveillance, which I'm going to get into today, is really about putting all the power, all the money, all the natural resources, all of our freedom, our inalienable rights, God and country in the hands of a small group of elitists. We call them the Davos crew, but they meet as much in Manhattan and in London and everywhere else too. They're a small group of people, but they're all the same names, and we'll hear them today yet again. But the first thing I do want to say is that obviously we're making a difference, because the people at the World Economic Forum are not happy with us.
Woo! That's good.
And I think us specifically, almost.
Yeah.
Pretty much. When Harari is blocking Clay on his Twitter, he's making a difference.
Yes.
But I have to tell you that they don't like what's going on. Klaus Schwab put out like a big spew of his his dictator's voice. I call it, it's like Dr. Evil. You can't even make it up.
He is. Yep.
And he is. For real. But anyway, so they are putting out the call to all their partners. Again, everyone, please look up the public-private partners of the World Economic Forum, who are members, who are players, who are stakeholders, as they call them. These people are all in on the capture of humanity under this small group of billionaires, trillionaires, and the people that work for them. So you can't be both. You can't be totally committed to the World Economic Forum. Their bill is the Build Back Better bill, which is fictionally called the Inflation Deficit bill, which is the opposite of what it's going to do. It's also the same exact bill that Klaus Schwab and everyone promoted and pushed back at the climate conference in Glasgow that we talked about. And every G20 nation has basically the same bill. But we went there already. So this week he put out a call to action, and it went all over to all the websites, because the World Economic Forum is connected to the IMF, the UN, the World Bank, and the World Health Organization. So similar calls to action went out to all three and to all of their partners, which would be, in this case, we know Susie Wojcicki, who runs YouTube and is kicking off pastors for God knows what. Now she's upping the game, that a lot of people got warnings that if they discuss the election between now and 2022, that they are going to be suspended or terminated. This adds to also if people are discussing abortion, and if people are discussing what's the other thing that they added to the list that's new? It's not if people are questioning the authority of our government agencies, including the FBI. So get ready for that. There's going to be purges, because I've always wondered how the guys like, the huge millions of people, like, I guess Tim Pool stays medium, but there are great guys out there, Mark Dice, JP Sears, that are doing great work, Russell Brand, and they don't touch them. But I have a feeling these guys are getting desperate, and everyone should be planning for backing up their stuff, like I didn't when I got axed.
Exactly.
I lost everything. But it's okay. But I do want you to know the World Economic Forum put out to all their main players that they need to up their game, because there's too much misinformation, disinformation, and things going against the great narrative, which I hope everyone knows that Klaus Schwab wrote The Great Reset, but then his follow-up was The Great Narrative, which is about controlling information, controlling thoughts. It's the whole idea behind the Truth Ministry that's trying to invade all our countries. It's all coming from the very top. The kings over there for our country, Biden and Obama, are obviously very in that game. Susan Rice is giant globalist. She's running domestic policy here. Probably has something to do with the Trump raid as well. But Larry Fink of BlackRock, King of the Hill, running America Finance, in my opinion, the controlled demolition, all behind the ESG score, Great Reset, is not only the CEO of BlackRock, but also on the board of the World Economic Forum, and is basically owns 90% or runs by his shares about 90% of the companies in America, especially the media. And they are all with this ESG score, which we're beating, and we'll get into in a minute, thank God. But, these are all the same players. So they put out this week that 63% of the world's population is online, which is by design. They like that, but they don't like that it's a mirror of society, and that the way things are going right now, that society, because they care a lot about us over there, that society is being misled. The society, there's a dark online world that are misleading society, and the World Economic Forum is recommending trust and safety teams that are online, and he wants them to start removing abusive content, enforcing platform policies, and challenging an ever-growing list of abuse. It's interesting that they put child abuse in it when our borders open, and Facebook and Meta and Instagram and all these groups have been very involved in a lot of nefarious stuff with children trafficking, with online, predators and all of that. But they throw in child abuse, but then they add extremism, disinformation, hate speech, increasingly advanced actors using platforms, misusing platforms in unique ways. Now, again, the World Economic Forum has no authority over us or any country or any government unless we give it to them. But our country has been usurped by the oligarchs, most of them involved with the World Economic Forum. And therefore, the World Economic Forum at this point, with their public-private partnership and their stakeholder capitalism, they're running a situation which is actually real fascism, as described by Mussolini, which is they are skipping our governments, going direct to the people, where
Right.
the banks and the multinational corporation boards are more powerful than the government. And the government is working for them to implement the World Economic Forum, Great Reset, Build Back Better, the entire climate agenda, which is really about money and power and tracking and tracing and behavior. But so they're putting out there all this stuff about that they need to up the AI of online censorship, online fact checking, which we did a whole show about how fraudulent that is, and that they need to step it up. They need to work with human intelligence, AI together to really take it to the next level, because they're very upset at the World Economic Forum about basically them being called out. So where they are right now is that they're saying that it's becoming more complex, that there's more avenues that they can't manipulate. And they're talking about things like fighting wars and recessions and new viruses, and that these online disinformation, misinformation agents that aren't trusting the World Health Organization or the CDC or Klaus Schwab or the Center for Countering Digital Hate or Media Matters. The people that are going against them are the real problem, according to the World Economic Forum and their partners in YouTube, not the people that are censoring people because they don't want other points of view. So they basically go through acting as if the one thing that they're putting in there is they're putting in child abuse in there, but I really think that that's a distraction, because I don't believe that that's what this is about. This is about so they want data sets and to up the AI and algorithms to be more nuanced, to find violations where you might not, which is why I'm saying some of these people that get away with it by using comedy, not get away with it, I mean, they shouldn't be censored at all, but have maintained their channels.
But they can slip through the
right,
human
they use
element,
comedy and satire, and kind of like their shows like half kind of fun, there's a lot of shows like that out there, and they're stepping it up on all of that, and they would like new human moderators and subject matter experts picked by them, of course, to detect nuances of online abuse and understand many languages and cultures to precisely define it and stop it in its tracks. They need a trust and safety intelligence solution to detect online abuse that would be centralized globally. So again, this is just another step in the global situation.
And really a lot of those are the goal is to make it so vague. Say something like, I don't know, stop hate.
Right.
Okay, well, everybody would be for that, but then who determines what was that or racism and some of these things? What's like when you have an umbrella term and then you can put anything underneath of it. It's like a universally agreeable. Everybody would agree to that, but then they can put anything inside that box once they create it. It makes it a very slippery slope.
Right. Yeah, and there is no defining. Like right now, if you say groomer or grooming, you could get a strike or kicked off. But I also wonder if you say groomer or grooming and you're talking about King Charles Spaniels.
Right.
I mean, at what point is it? Like I have a great groomer that does those dogs, so I'm sure she's online showing her dogs.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean? Like it's so they've proposed top down from the World Economic Forum and their private-public partnership tech overlords that are all in cahoots with the governments that they control. That they're bringing human-curated, multi-language, off-platform intelligence into learning sets. AI will then be able to detect nuanced, novel online abuses at scale before they reach mainstream platforms.
Wow.
They're going to have a smarter. Harari is probably very involved in this. They can hack humans now. So, they're hacking their AI humans.
They're proud of it.
Put in charge of this, that have no compassion, no empathy, don't care about the truth. They have one job and one job only, like Eichmann. And they say supplementing smarter automated detection with human expertise, experts chosen by them, to review edge cases and identify false positives and negatives. Then feeding those findings back into training sets will allow AI with human intelligence baked in to be more intelligent, make better moderating decisions, and detect anything that's coming that is misinformation, disinformation. They have a whole slew of subject matter experts, you know, and it's the same thing as always. So they say that this is the way it's going to go forward, according to the overlords at the World Economic Forum, and that trust and safety teams are the answer, and that they'll be developing them upcoming. So I guess that's like and we'll get into that. It's already happened, into the young globalist leaders, the young change makers of the World Economic Forum. Now they're going to have the online, probably it'll go to Hollywood too, trust and safety teams of the World Economic Forum that will work together globally to stop online disinformation, misinformation, hate, and nefarious conduct.
Trust. Can you say that again?
Trust and
people are going to be
teams.
members of, like, their job, their card, when they talk to their family at Thanksgiving. What are you doing? Hey, I'm a new member of the trust and safety team. That sounds like a good thing. Like, what do you do? Do you work with like people with harnesses and rope climbing, or, you know, trust?
Yeah.
Like, what's your job exactly? Well, I monitor what people say, and if there's something I don't like, we scrub them from existence.
Right. And the scary part is that they're picking the experts. We found out that all the experts that work for George Soros and Bill Gates, that are the fact checkers for, you know, or NewsGuard, Lead Stories, Media Matters, Zuckerberg Chan Foundation, Facebook, they're all chosen by them, and they're all members of these clubs already. So again, who benefits from silencing other voices if not them? And they benefit not just financially, but in terms of power and control, because, you know, that is what they're doing. They
Mel, can I add something to what you said right there? Because this is, we did an episode with you going through, and it was very, very rational with all the receipts of companies, like, because they use the term fact checkers. We said, well, here's the actual companies, because they're real, these are real corporations. Here's the companies, here's how they work, here's who owns them, here's the technology that they do to do it. It's something anybody could find by researching. It's not like something bombastic. You're not calling these people lizards or something. You're just saying, here's who the fact checkers are. Here's this company, here's this company. Here's this. If you look at their board of directors, here's who's on their board of directors. We uploaded that to YouTube. We just started a brand new one because we'd been deleted, because that's how this works.
I think our 7th channel.
It's like something 6th or 7th channel. Our daughter uploaded it. She's the only one that could see it because it's in a queue to go up in a couple of days. So it's not visible. It was only uploaded. It's a brand new channel. I mean, we just created it. There's like 300 followers. I mean, it just went up that day. It goes into the queue, not visible to the world. We got a strike.
Right.
For that video. It's not even visible to the world. And there was not a bad word, not a thing. There's no nudity. There's no swearing.
Election stuff, nothing.
No election stuff. No vaccine stuff. None of the naughty words that you can't
Just
say.
talking about fact checkers.
We didn't say the F word, fraud.
Yep.
Didn't say any of these things. It was in the queue to go out in the future.
It's crazy.
Strike.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about, what they just said.
This is so real.
That they're going to go in before you put it up.
Yes.
And listen, I'm just saying to everyone, I got kicked off a year ago. We never appealed. I didn't want to censor myself. I knew I was going down this path. So I knew it was only a matter of time, and I didn't want to keep torturing.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I will tell you that no, what we were doing on that was explaining that the fact checkers are really the worst of the propagandists, because they claim some kind of authority, when if you just track the money, you're going to find it's the same exact people: Soros, Gates, Tides Foundation, Arabella Partners, you know, Zuckerberg Chan. So it's if they were transparent, the fact checkers, and like at the bottom said, we get our funding from, you know, the Open Society, or from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or the Poynter Institute, or Wellcome Trust, then okay. Well, you're fact checking it as an opinion, but acting like because you once worked at the New York Times or the Washington Post, you are somehow superior to every other independent journalist on the planet. And remember, Biden regime with and this isn't just about the Smith Modernization Act that turned propaganda on us legal under Obama and Sonstein and all them. But right in the beginning, we talked about it. It had to have been probably 12 months ago, maybe even more than that. They gave a lot of money. The Biden regime, through Blinken, made a whole statement about giving independent media, independent fact check, all this money. And now we know from a bunch of different sources, but also Project Veritas and then America First Legal, that they have the records, the documents of Twitter and Facebook and YouTube interacting with the Biden regime to pull specific people off, like Naomi Wolf and Berenson, and probably a lot of other people, many people we know. That is illegal. In any case, the government is not supposed to be censoring First Amendment speech, period. They shouldn't be involved at all. But until we have law and order back, this is what we're dealing with. So this is why I do want to get into, for people that don't know. First of all, I am somebody who believes that not only do I know that the Patriot Act was written 2 years before 9/11, but I will also tell you that I believe the Patriot Act is the most unconstitutional, worst implementation. And when you know what you know now, or what I know now, what you know now, or the people that research this about the war on terror and the last 20 years and what really, really was playing out, and the money that changed hands, and the contractors and the oil and everything, that this big bubble that was called the war on terror that we accepted after 9/11, being very like Kathy O'Brien will tell you, like with the MK Ultra and thing, we were very susceptible to whatever they said we had to do in order to stay safe. Not really realizing what we were doing, I don't think, en masse as a country.
It's true.
But it has been, the Patriot Act has been so manipulated. I mean, we saw with Assange and Snowden and lots of things that came out over time. Hastings. I mean, anyone that was saying anything, all these whistleblowers that wound up dead. It's the truth of the matter is that we have been very track, trace, surveilled, all of that since then, obviously before then. But since then, it's like the thing that they do, which is when the whole goal is to make us walk into it willingly. So instead of, like, if they said, okay, we're going to track and trace you and surveil you, and we're going to have everyone's, info, and we're going to be able to warrantless surveillance of anyone we want through their phones, their computers, their records, and which is what they've been doing, that we would all have had a problem with this. But under the guise of the war on terror, we're like, go find the terrorists.
For it. Do it. I'm not a bad person. You can do whatever you want.
The water cooler conversation during that window, because you had a Republican president and conservatives especially, this was the talking point was, well, I don't like this. It's got a bad smell to it. But if you're not doing something illegal, you have nothing to really be afraid of.
Right.
If you're not a terrorist, then you have nothing to be afraid of. And that was kind of the water cooler conversation. Then it's like, well, I guess we let this go because we don't want them using our technologies to come and blow our buildings up, and we're vulnerable because of all this. So I guess they should be listening in. And I have nothing to hide. I'm so boring. Who'd want to listen on my phone conversations?
Right.
Yeah, but that was the talking points from the media to make us do it.
Yep. That's what was said.
If you're not hiding anything, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that it's taken on a whole new level. So I do want people to know, and I understand, when we all went on Facebook, first of all, we've discussed it here, but I hope people know, and please look it up. Facebook, the story you heard about Facebook is a lie. There was something called LifeLog. It was started by DARPA and the Department of Defense and In-Q-Tel and contractors as a track and trace surveillance system of Americans and anyone that went online through Facebook. The day DARPA took down LifeLog is the day that Facebook came up. And they're very similar. And we know that Facebook, Google, a lot of these places have been sued and lost in overseas and here with selling your data and stuff. But like the big pharmaceutical companies, they don't care if they get sued because they have a fund for when they get sued. So it doesn't really matter. But there is a lot coming out about what is going on now. And since we're going into our second half hour, I really want people to know what's going on. First and foremost, I understand that most people are basically by design addicted to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these. You know what? And I unloaded when I realized what was going on with Facebook and the metaverse, even worse. I got off all of that, but when I wanted to get off of Facebook, you have to ask them for permission. You can suspend your account, but if you want to get off of Facebook, you have to request it. That is very strange to me. And then I thought, oh, great, I'm going to be on the list. They're going to download everything and wonder why I want to go off. But I mean, at this point, I'm sure that they're already all in on it. So here we are at this place. So I want everyone to know that there's a big problem. China has a backdoor to a lot of this technology and is creating dossiers and track and tracing. They have the whole DNA thing that we found out during Wuhan, where they're tracking DNA of individuals. Millions of people are in their bags, BGI and other groups. So, and now we're finding out that the CCP was also getting information on election workers and all kinds of stuff. Like there's no limits there. They need total control over humanity, just like the World Economic Forum is going for. But basically, it turns out that a lot of these apps have legalized malware in them, meaning that it was allowed, it's in their information. And as much as they're social media apps, they say that the biggest ones that are actually spying on you are ByteDance, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. They basically use legalized malware that enables the developer to monitor, track, data mine the end user for financial gain 24/7, 365 days a week. I mean, a year, 365 days a year.
It feels that way sometimes now.
Yeah. They say one of these apps, a single app, enables the developer to collect 5,000 highly confidential data points associated with the end user's personal information, business information, medical information, legal information, employment information, because the surveillance and data mining done by these companies is indiscriminate, meaning they are not collecting not only collecting consumer information, they're collecting every bit of information of the end user as they possibly can once downloaded onto your phone, which includes some of these text messages, emails, email attachments, calendar events, and contacts. Now, it's very important if you have apps on your phone that you do not use, you should be deleting them, and then turning off your phone and turning it back on, because some of these apps that you think are not a big deal, like somebody that was on my show said even the flashlight app or there's a mirror app or whatever, and you think it's innocuous. And this is a great report that came out that I can send you the link to, but people need to check this out. It's Rex M. Lee from My Smart Privacy put out this whole report, and it is shocking. It says that what the apps do is they'll interlink with the hardware of your device and the sensors on your device, such as the camera and the microphone, as well as sensors such as like on Fitbit, or your biometric data, or how many steps you walk a day. And then they can do audio, video, physical surveillance on you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, while collecting all this information on end users. What they're doing is they then package that and monetize it for themselves and others. And also, at this point, they're sharing this information with the multinational corporations, the banking cabal, and this militarized DOJ, FBI, intelligence agencies. So now that they're all involved in it, it's really starting to appear that they're that our government knows that this is going on and is actually in some ways benefiting from this kind of track and trace surveillance. So I know that it was introduced and now a lot of people are addicted to it, but really do think about how much better life was before social media.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And how much better it was for all of us and for your children and stuff, because this is, they say that, they used to say oil was what made the world go round financially. It is now your data. And your data is your data, and it is not being protected, not by the government and certainly not by these companies. And most of these companies are connected to the World Economic Forum. So if they want the top down, because the next thing that's happening is that the World Economic Forum has gone into cahoots with some, and you know what I think about the carbon footprint and all the stuff that they're saying. There are plenty of solutions to help our environment, to end pollution, to have great water and resources and everything on every inch of this planet if the money wasn't being hogged and hoarded by the people that are creating the wars and the famines and everything, and then come in as the saviors. What they're doing right now with the climate thing is they want us to give them the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, IPCC, the whole crew, Glasgow, COP26. They want us to give them all of the money at the top, about $130 trillion, if you look at what they're asking for, so that they can fix everything. Because we, the people of all of our nations, with all the scientists and all the doctors and all the farmers and all the firemen and all the people that are brilliant already in our own countries, aren't to be trusted, according to these the UN aligned groups. But
you are exactly 100% right.
So now they're coming out, and we can fix it. There's plenty of people. I mean, most people that love God and country want that for all nations. The only reason that it's not like that in all nations, especially Africa and South America, is because the same people that are profiting off of pillaging those countries are the same people involved in the climate emergency. It's the same people. So again, it's all about money, IMF. But now we have the World Economic Forum teaming up with Rabo Carbon Bank. Now, this is not a real bank. It is a carbon bank. So Rabo Carbon Bank is a personal carbon wallet that the World Economic Forum is backing. And basically, the woman who's the leader, she's a World Economic Forum young global leader and partner. Her name is Barbara Barsma. She's Dutch. So she explains in her video on the World Economic Forum site, she says, let's ensure that every household or every citizen receives a certain amount of carbon emission rights. This way, we can ensure that we do not emit more than our yearly limit. Your emission rights will be stored in a carbon wallet. So if you wanted to fly, I would buy some carbon emission rights from someone who can't afford to fly. For example, this way, this poor person can earn some extra money. Or if someone lives in a small house, he can sell his emission rights to someone who lives in a big house. This way, poor people can benefit from the green economy. This goes on to, it's so insane what they're saying. So what she's saying here is that this would be kind of MasterCard's very involved. The economy is also involved. So this is basically that they are saying that the globalists will oversee with phony and manipulated statistics and data that have already been, greatly debunked by even the creator of Greenpeace and stuff. but they're deciding that these are the partners. The World Economic Forum and these people have decided that you are going to when most people think of carbon emission, carbon footprint, they think it refers to travel, fuel, gas, electricity under the guise of emissions. But that's not what's going on here, honestly. What's going on here is that they're proposing that you have it's tied to your bank account and your credit card. And what's happening that you have a spending limit, and that the people at the central bank, digital currency, IMF, World Economic Forum will shut off your ability to buy gas, to buy certain groceries, to buy meat, to travel. This is not like some kind of utopian, like let's trade this for that, because they're not. They don't have anything to measure carbon emissions. There's 35 different ways that they're saying they can do this. So that this
sounds good. It's like, Taylor Swift's going to be paying the homeless guy that lives outside your building some money so that she can fly her private jet. That's going to create a more equitable future. That sounds like it, man. Taylor Swift should pay. She's going to fly private. That's fine. She can do it, but pay
me for it.
Yeah. Well, this is a great idea.
Yeah. So another partner there, Deconomy, that came up before, World Economic Forum partner, Swedish fintech, has launched a new credit card that monitors. This is attached to the digital currency ESG score. It's all the same group of people, all involved in top-down track and trace surveillance, including your health, finances,
Is that the slide that was before this one?
MasterCard and Deconomy.
Okay.
Yeah. This one is a new credit card. MasterCard is a partner of the World Economic Forum. Rabobank is the one that's proposing this too, that's on the screen right now. So they want to monitor carbon footprints of customers, cut off their spending when they hit their maximum carbon intake for the month.
Wow.
And again, it's this group. It's not your local bank. It's not even in America. It would be the World Economic Forum and their public-private partnership, financially run by the guy that's destroying our economy right now by design for the Great Reset. Keep that in mind. It also says that these new cards connected to your bank account, your health records, and everything else, which they're not saying right here, tracks the CO2 emissions linked to your purchases to calculate the carbon impact of every transaction. The aim is to encourage people to actively reduce their carbon footprint and demonstrate the impact that small changes can have on the environment. It's not a choice. This isn't something you say, I'll do that. No. This is part of the whole plan. It says the card uses something called the ALAND index as the basis of its calculation of carbon footprint of each product purchased, that every product you purchase would be counted towards your monthly intake of carbon. I mean, it's so crazy. And you can, and so anyway, users can set a maximum value for their carbon spend and learn how to compensate for their carbon footprint by contributing towards schemes to reduce and remove greenhouse gas emissions, all connected to it. Economy and MasterCard announced their joint effort to combat climate change by enabling a free and easy to use mobile banking service that lets users track, understand, and reduce their CO2 credit, carbon offsetting credits. This again is connected to the World Economic Forum, and they've announced this here, and now they're doing it in challenges and payment and giving out money. Well, a user on this one page, this one Twitter thing, showed a new menu in the Netherlands, where on the menu they have the food.
Do we have an image of that? Did you send that?
Yeah, real beef. Maybe I didn't, but I'll send it to you if I didn't. So they have real meat on one side and fish and everything, and then on the other is all the manufactured stuff by Gates and Branson and everyone, and Bezos, that they're making the fake meat in the lab, and the real meat is like sky high credit, and money. The other side is cheaper, but also way low credit emission scores. So this is already rolling out in countries around the world.
And people are accepting this because they're trickling this out. You'll see it, the what's called Impossible Meat or Incredible Meat, the Bill Gates meat. It's on, menus here in the United States,
and
all over the place.
Major places.
Yeah. That you'll see is listed on the options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what they're saying, honestly, they're saying it, that they are trying to nudge, it's kind of Sunstein nudge, which is really manipulate and brainwash people towards plant-based foods because of different CO2 levels. And they're trying to influence people to go to Beyond Meats and other options. Yes, that's the menu right there. You can see it here. It has the carbon amount of each thing on there. And what it's saying here is that they're planning on rolling this out as a trial upcoming in this fall all over the world. And that they're measuring the CO2 levels. The restaurants are supposedly beginning this, and that it would tell you that you weren't able to order something. Look, this is for jeans and stuff. This is the carbon calculator that the World Economic Forum and IMF are pushing. And look, it's for jeans.
Wow.
So everything's going to be based on this fraudulent, statistically manipulated carbon scheme. And then don't forget, they want to put a 15% tax for carbon on everyone as well, worldwide. So,
again, if you're listening in audio only, send us a text at 40509, the word Mel. All the images that we're commenting on or seeing, they'll come directly to you, and you can go through them yourself. And those are a lot of them are a headline or the source, and you could go and deep dive in on that particular thing if you want. But 40509, the word Mel, you can have all these images. We're in this
use
together
them to wake other people up.
Yes, share these images individually. We got to wake up the world.
Yeah. Now, while we've been sleeping, especially during the COVID, we did a whole show about smart cities. It's all connected here. It really is. And when I talk about their plans for track and trace surveillance, I am really talking about that it's all things. So right now, communist China is the most surveilled nation. They already are in the social credit score. They take fines out of bank accounts. They cut off their access to money or to groceries or travel. They're already on the digital wallet in CCP China. CCP China has about 200 million surveillance cameras in China that are watching people 24/7. They're also not just watching and recording, but also there's a whole audio level of it. But a scary thing you don't know is that right now at this point, up through the COVID, right now America has 50 million. So the Americans, I don't think, are fully aware that it is the public-private partnership and we talked about the smart city contracts and deals that a lot of mayors made because the World Economic Forum and their partners went directly to mayors on purpose and to local politicians and made deals they couldn't refuse, basically. But we are dealing with a situation where America is being way more surveilled than people think. In New York City, we have kiosks on every corner. Most people think that those are ads. A lot of the ads are also for New York City services of some kind. But those kiosks are watching us. And that's what a lot of people are seeing things as convenience or technology, when it's really a full invasion of your privacy, and it's predictive policing is part of what their goal is here. They don't hide it. So the World Economic Forum suggests that we have digital identities that are in our digital wallet. So the UN and the World Economic Forum have been talking about this for a while. They've started 2 groups that are on global governance, just like the World Economic Forum, for the internet and for online, that most people never even heard of, but it is financed and funded by all the same people. And their vision is to have a digital wallet for every person on the planet, which includes healthcare, which would have access to insurance, treatment, monitored health devices, and wearables to whoever has this information, because they're not really clear on who this information is going to, but it's definitely a bunch of World Economic Forum partners who are controlling it. Like Noah Harari said, it's about the algorithm and the AI, and the person who controls the algorithm and controls the freedom of the people. And like he said, there is no free will. We control them. We are God. Listen to what Harari says, and then listen to what the plan is. So with the digital identity, so they want all health, they want all financial services, bank accounts and financial transactions online and in person, tracked and traced. Food and sustainability. Farmers and consumers verify products, traceability, supply chain issues, and purchases. Travel and mobility, trips, car rides, public transportation. Humanitarian response. What are you doing for social justice and for the environment? Should be on there too. All e-commerce, shopping, business, payment transactions. All of your social platforms and social media with all third-party logins. All government files, taxes, voting, and benefits. All communication and monitored devices. And last but not least, all smart city statistics, like your smart meters, your devices, your sensors, how much energy you're using, how much gas, how much basically everything connected to your home, and what that is. So the goal would be to pull everything in under the guise of climate again, somehow, and in preventing pandemics, So that is really, as they explain, the real goal of what we were told were vaccine ID passports. Because again, it's IBM, who was very involved, people don't know, with the Holocaust and cataloging humans back then. So it's IBM's involved, and MasterCard, and a couple of the people, World Economic Forum, and all of these people. And they're saying that this is a $4 trillion business, getting everyone onto this. And what's scarier is that they are at the 2022 meeting that just happened, the World Economic Forum. We talked about a lot of things, like Klaus Schwab saying that the 3,000 billionaires and trillionaires there run the world, and that if they stick together as a community, the Great Reset and everything will work out for them, the 3,000 of them and whoever works for them. And that the rest of us will just have to figure it out, how to survive in their world. But something that was not paid attention to was Al Gore, the original, carbon credit shyster, him and Clinton. And oddly enough, we talked about it last time, Obama was involved. But Al Gore took the stage. He's also on the board of the World Economic Forum, folks. So, keep that in mind. He took the stage, and he introduced something called Climate Trace. Now, what I just told you before, with all of the things that they want in your digital identity wallet, and that would also double for your bank card and your license. So, and your passport, all on there, everything.
Super convenient.
So,
yeah, right. Exactly. And that's what they want you to think, because that is why they're going to have people walk into it.
It's more secure. I don't have to keep this billfold with all these things in it, all this stuff, and just one deal. I mean,
yeah, and all your records, everything. The question is, who's the gatekeeper?
Yeah.
Who is monitoring it? Who's deciding? The IMF or the World Bank in Switzerland is deciding. So Al Gore gets up there, and this was not covered a lot. Corey's Digs always and the Sharp Edge cover this kind of stuff, but not everyone does. So people should know Al Gore announced that he's very excited because his billions of dollars have led him to a place where he's been able to join together with others and create Climate Trace, which is a coalition backed by Al Gore and Google's Eric Schmidt, the CCP China, track and trace surveillance, conduit. And now I believe one of the most powerful person probably in DC when it comes to AI, the Department of Defense contracts, Schmidt Futures. He's the AI and science guy if of the oligarchs running America, as Larry Fink is the finance guy. Both also World Economic Forum members and partners. So Schmidt and Gore announced Climate Trace, and basically that it's the responsibility of governments to make structural changes in our economy to combat climate change. Gore says, "I have good news on that front. We are about to enter the age of radical transparency." Now think about what he's saying here, because he's saying what you think you want to hear. I have been among those. I wonder how he's been among them, but I have been among those who have formed a new coalition called Climate Trace, tracking real-time atmospheric carbon emissions. It's a coalition of artificial intelligence technology companies, NGOs, of course, and universities using data from 300 existing satellites from multiple countries, ground, sea, air, and ocean-based sensors, internet data streams, to use machine learning to create algorithms for every single subsector of the economy. So it's a colossal data collection project aimed to replace current self-reporting systems of greenhouse gas emissions by countries, companies, and individuals. And the goal of getting to net zero, which of course would mean no humans or plants on the planet, but that aside, the carbon thing's going to work until it's debunked for real and people stop talking about it.
But it's the perfect boogeyman though, because you can't see it, grab it, punch it, document it, measure it.
And don't let any details get in the way.
Greta can see it. If you go look back at Greta's creation, her thing is that she has some kind of gift with her autism and all of her issues that she can see carbon dioxide somehow.
How dare you?
That's true.
How dare you, Mel?
Yeah, I know. How dare you? Yes. So listen.
Let me ask you this before you go further. Is this going to be kind of like when you're at the grocery store and you're like, man, I'd like to have this soft drink. And you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, look how much sugar that's got in it. I probably won't. I'm gonna choose not to based on the clearly labeled ingredients. But there'll be one more additional thing, like the carbon footprint of this
on every can
body armor drink or something, or whatever you look to, and you're like, oh man, I'll go with the water instead, or you know what, I'll just not drink anything and dehydrate myself because I don't have any more calories. It's almost like a a Fit app or something like that, where you're tracking your calories for a diet, but it's what you're allowed to consume over the course of time based on Klaus Schwab and his gang.
Right, and this is also in cahoots with Larry Fink and the ESG score initiatives, as Al Gore talks about at this speech. So he says it's a Google-backed AI algorithm, so you should all feel really.
Oh yeah, I feel really safe.
So, and don't forget, Google owns YouTube, so it's across the board. So Google, Chrome, everything. It's so it's a Google-backed algorithm used by Climate Trace, lays the framework for enforcing ESG score initiatives that are heavily pushed by BlackRock and other technocrats, and it would hold people accountable somehow. So it goes on to really discuss that this is tied to the ESG. It's called Trace Places Climate Change Observe, making the invisible visible somehow, because they're scoring it. And it goes on to say that as a foundation for the coming social and climate credit score, basically, Climate Trace will target individual cars, homes, small businesses for climate offenses. And then it will implement it similar to China, that relies on mass surveillance of population to punish or reward citizens on their behavior. So this could be anything like questioning the authority, which is the new dictate coming out of YouTube. This has a lot to do with anything that you're buying, anywhere you're traveling, where what you what you are affiliated with. That's the landscape on the screen right now for anyone that is watching, of the plan for the digital wallet that would be controlled by these people. I think everyone saw also at the World Economic Forum, the head of Alibaba, the Chinese company, came out and said that Michael Evans, he bragged that the company developed an individual carbon footprint tracker that has the ability to track everything consumers buy, eat, and as well as where they travel and what they do in their day-to-day lives to keep it under control. Now, Climate Trace, it launched in July of 2020. So I don't know if everyone is aware of this.
That's interesting.
And it's tracking, and so its goals, as stated, tracking and tracing emission sources and reporting on not just national subsector estimates, but asset level data, individual power plants, factories, ships, planes, farms, and so on around the world. It says and so on, so you should always take into account that.
What's the so on?
So on and so forth and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it goes on to say it allows it to get more and more detailed over time, constantly evolving, improving, and collecting more and more data as it grows. Goes on to say that Al Gore elaborated on the function of Climate Trace Coalition to hold entities and individual citizens accountable for climate offenses. We can now accurately determine where the greenhouse gas emissions are coming from. I don't know if that's true, but if he says it, then of course it is, because the polar caps, he told us, we're gonna melt by 2010. So
exactly.
And he says, and we'll have the identities. Listen to this, okay? Well, and think about all the crazy people they do have brainwashed with that are Antifa, Black Lives Matter, that think half the country is like the worst people on the planet. And we'll have the identities of people who are responsible for each of these greenhouse gas emission offenses and streams. And if investors or governments or civil society activists want to hold these people responsible, they will have the information upon which to base their action in doing so. So they are planning to not only track, trace, and surveil all of this, but to put this information online publicly under their own thing. And it's coming under, so Climate Trace funders, this is where it gets exciting, are Google, Schmidt Future, Al Gore, Generation Investment Management. Other partners are the World Economic Forum, of course. But we also have a whole bunch of Silicon Valley people. The Beneficus Foundation is a family foundation of John and Ann Deere, who is a member of Breakthrough Energy Coalition, which is funded by Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Richard Branson, and George Soros. Generation Investment Management is a climate-focused hedge fund funded by and founded by Al Gore and David Blood, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs. Their holdings include Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Alibaba. David Blood and Larry Fink are both part of a principals group of Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, leading the financial industry to fundamentally transform the global economy through ESG initiatives by uniting net zero financial sector specific alliances from across the globe into one industry-wide strategic alliance controlled by the World Economic Forum and their partners. Other members and people involved with Climate Trace include Johns Hopkins University of the famous Event 201, the Rocky Mountain Institute. We got World Bank, of course, of World Bank. We've got the Earth Alliance, which is a brainchild of former NASA deputy administrator who served under Obama, Hillary, and John Kerry. We got the European Space Agency, and on. And it's this, always the same people. All comes back to that they're all involved with the strategic public-private partnership of the World Economic Forum. And, going on from there to not scare everyone, because it's not scary if you take control of this, but you really do have to realize that this is already in motion. And like I keep saying to people, they are acting as if they are already there, because that is what they need to do to continue on. But now it's talking about that, but people are questioning where Al Gore and Fink and all these people are getting their their model of statistics to judge this stuff, because there's 10,000 scientists that have spoken out. And, this is also a new thing with the algorithms for Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. You're not allowed to question anything about climate science because you have to trust the science in their world. But again, like it was the World Health Organization, CDC, and FDA, the IPCC, and a bunch of Extinction Rebellion and a bunch of these groups that are also funded by the same people that are trying to push the Great Reset are claiming that their data and their models and are the, be all end all. They're all funded by these same people though. And again, all of this is part of their, that net zero thing and the natural asset class. For us to give all of our money to this group of people and their solution makers that they've picked, trillions of dollars of taxpayer money worldwide of all of our nations, for them to fix. But if you look through the phony inflation bill, which is now called which is the Build Back Better bill, but it's called something else, everything almost in there is speculation that it'll work. No, none of this stuff is so. A lot of that is grants to study, a lot, which is money laundering at the end of the day. A lot of it is to universities to study, or all of these things that are hypotheticals, or contracts with companies that are members of the World Economic Forum, public-private partnership, that their technology is so new and unproven that it's all hypothesis created by universities and scientists, just like with the COVID, that are funded by the Gates Foundation or the Open Society or one of these other groups. So it's the same model. It's just they didn't take the financial grab that was COVID, the shifting of all money, the ending of the middle class worldwide was not the end goal. I really believe that this is the end goal. And it's a total financial power grab of everything on the planet. Now, another thing I want people to know is, again, we keep hearing about the United Nations and the United Nations. The United Nations signed a long time ago. The United Nations and the World Economic Forum signed a strategic partnership framework for the 2030 agenda. Agenda 2030 is where their end goal is for humanity to be completely enslaved, track and traced, eugenicized by then because of all the pandemics and everything. And all of the, because by then, because a big part of all of this that they're going to is universal basic income. So you're not going to be able, and then you put in the ESG score and the track and trace, you're not going to be able to get loans, start small businesses, get insurance if they get away with this. You're going to be judged, like Harari says, on an algorithm with thousands of data points, and you're not going to know why you're being turned down. You're going to know because you're knowing that you're going to know it's personal.
Right.
But that is how they're going to limit it. And like Harari says, they don't need this many people. But so they have a partnership, the UN and the World Economic Forum. And Kofi Annan came out a long time ago when he was still there at the UN and said that the Davos people and the public-private partnership and the corporation, multinational corporations, could do more than the UN could. So at that point, he started in 71 when the gold standard ended. Kissinger was all behind it. But at that point, when Kofi Annan said that in the 2000s, it was already established that Klaus Schwab's group was the de facto people running the United Nations. And again, I tell people, if you look up the United Nations now, you're going to find a tremendous amount of people from the CCP at the top of committees there. They are only loyal to the CCP. They should never have been allowed in. It was Bush. They let them into the World Bank. They let them into the IMF. They let them into the UN. The reason was they like Kissinger and Rockefeller and Soros. They've all said, Gates, they like the model of track and trace surveillance of population.
Trudeau says he admires it. He's in awe of its greatness.
They all have.
Sick.
They all have said it. They've all said it. And Rockefeller the most, and he's the architect of all of this.
And if people don't have a problem with this, you think, well, I don't know, let the scientists, the people, the experts do it. If you want to be a cow living in a pasture with enough hay to live and a little bit of water in a trough, and that's your life, and you got a pen,
you will own nothing.
You will own nothing. You may or may not be happy. They really don't care, but they'll assume you are because they won't know any different. That is what they are wanting for the future. That is Agenda 2030. You will be a cow in a pen, period. Yeah.
And I know we have to wind it down, but I did not know, because we know about the World Economic Forum and that it's a UN spinoff really is controlling that. The UN they're still using. The UN should be dismantled. That land should go to the homeless and the mentally ill in New York City. They need it more. And the whole thing is a failure. The UN was installed to have world peace, world cooperation, and end wars. It has done exactly the opposite on steroids, among many other horrible things. But they established the World Economic Forum and the UN, but we're kind of behind our backs, something called the Internet Governance Forum. And these people, again, just like the World Economic Forum, same thing, believe that they control the internet. And they've been functioning behind the scenes as if they do. And I don't think most people on planet Earth, especially not in the United States, know that there is an international globalist group, just like the IMF, just like the World Health Organization, just like the World Economic Forum, that is overseeing the internet, in their opinion, and has veto and control over the internet in their mind, in their documentation. It's called the Internet Governance Forum, and it's funded by the Internet Governance Forum Trust Fund. And basically it says that it's funded by donations, but listen to who's it's funded by. The government of Finland, and think about where we are right now. European Union, European Commission, government of Germany, government of Netherlands, government of Switzerland, the Internet Society, government of the United States, government of UK, government of Japan. So, and government of so that is everyone that seems to be aligned in the Build Back Better war of Ukraine.
That's right.
But then listen to who the private partners are. Tides Foundation, Verizon,
of course,
AT&T, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Walt Disney Company, Cisco, and it goes on. Some other tech companies.
Probably not Hobby Lobby.
No.
No,
they decided not to participate.
The Internet Governance. I remember governance means your government doesn't matter. Governance means it's bigger than your government. So Internet Governance Forum Support Association and the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. And that is who is running that. And we didn't even know that. And then because I always now cross-reference to see if this stuff is on the International Monetary Fund, because I'm pretty sure that that's who's running. The Bank for International Settlements is at the top. International Monetary Fund and U.S. aid are the ones that go around and I think make people comply. And that's the money. The money's going to that.
The IMF is the ones, if you're watching a movie about Vegas in the 60s, the IMF is the one that goes around and makes offers you can't refuse.
Right, like that book by John Perkins, everyone should read, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and it really lays it out. So this is exactly Internet Governance Forum. So this is something that's going on behind the scenes, no different than the World Economic Forum, and I never heard about it till yesterday. And,
that's crazy.
And they're functioning and it's the same people, and they're functioning like they're running the worldwide internet, and it's in Switzerland. You can't make it up.
Nope.
And then,
of course not.
And then I look on the International Monetary Fund and I find a document from July 2021. And you're going to find a lot of this stuff kicked in right when Joe Biden was installed because they couldn't do it, I don't think, under Trump without Trump seeing it. Or saying
he'd have flipped tables for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he was trying to get out of all of it because he knew this. But so the National Monetary Fund has a whole documentation. The rise of digital money, the strategic plan to continue delivering on the IMF mandate for a global wallet track and trace system with the in cahoots with the central bank digital currency.
Well, the cash is going away. We flew out of Kansas City this last weekend. You can't change cash.
Right.
You can't use it. You can't.
Nope.
Period. Pandemic's gone, but you still can't use cash.
Yeah, and they're actually going as far as to blame it on monkeypox.
No.
Yes. They're gonna, I bet you anything, you guys, we've been right a lot. Give it a month, they're gonna start saying that you can spread it through cash. But so I found that on the IMF, and you're like, wait, what? So they've been doing this for 2 years. So then there's a whole white paper from exactly 2021 November when Joe Biden was installed from the World Economic Forum, Digital Currency Governance Consortium, white paper series. There's a bunch of them, and it's about implementing the World Economic Forum, because that was the mandate of the IMF that they're talking about in the other document. This is the World Economic Forum saying that they're mandating this of all governments. So again, they have usurped our government.
Yep.
They are running it on this global level. And everyone in that Biden regime is in on it. But when you look at who's involved in these committees, and not only, obviously, it's the Bank of International Settlements, IMF, but there's a lot of corporations and companies that are they're the exact same partners of the World Economic Forum, public-private partnership, pushing this, and they thank them all. And we're talking also about professors at a lot of our universities in America and around the world. And, you know, they're saying that this is the future, but they're acting as if it's already happened. And some of the people that are on the steering committee, of course, are the heads of Deloitte, of Reuters, of HSBC, Deutsche Bank, Barclays, UBS, Standard Chartered Bank, Visa, you know, Alliance. These are the players that are they're already involved here, and it goes all the way through. It's every bank, ING, Lloyd's Banking Group. It's all the banks, MasterCard. So they've all signed off on this. SWIFT Institute, DTCC, one that everyone should look into. So what I'm saying here is that they've already decided this, and now World Economic Forum announces that they are going to be implementing that carbon credit card is in this document too. And on and on. And then that's really where we are at this point, because if you look through the technology that's you know out there right now, you're going to see very quick that the surveillance is all part of the plan for all of this, and that is really where the be all end all are. So you know, I just wanted people to know this track and trace surveillance stuff is in your kids' schools. They are doing, because there's a big problem out there with this facial recognition software, because it's so advanced that it's not just recognizing your face. It is recognizing what basically it thinks. It's recognizing what you're thinking, you know, what you're doing. And a lot of these groups, again, these are the same people are always involved. Google, Rocky Mountain Institute, Microsoft. You know, the Carbon Plan gets donations from Sergey Brin Foundation, Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. You know, it's just, why are these people deciding for the rest of the world anything?
So I think that's Mel, where do we do? Like you had already given the instruction to delete all apps that you're not using, and then turn off your phone, you know, and make sure they're off. What else can people do? Because this is very disturbing.
Yeah, well, what I do need to tell you is I know you're used to a lot of your devices, but I'm telling you, your wearable devices, being your smartwatch, your Fitbit, all of that, you got to look at where the data is going. You think it's benefiting you, but are you being tracked and traced? And what third parties? Because you'll see something, they'll ask you, like they'll say, well, in order to access this, you have to give them permission to give to a third party. Are any of those third parties intelligence agencies or governments or, you know, or the financial institutions? Because I believe that's what's happening. The wearable device market in 2022 was a $20 billion market. They're saying by 2025, it'll be a $30 billion market. And a lot of this stuff provides for no privacy of what they're taking down. And that also includes health information and all of that. It's already happening in China. We know that the guy from Pfizer, it was said that, again, at the World Economic Forum, said that they were very excited because the FDA approved a chip that is in a tablet. And once you take the tablet and it dissolves in your stomach, it sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the implications of that, the compliance. Who's getting that information?
Yeah, great question.
Who is watching that if you took a tablet in real time? Who's getting the information? Which algorithm and what company is running that? And him giggling about compliance. Your phone, like I said, take these off your phone. But that biometric data stuff, like you think you're tracking your weight, all that, your health, you're downloading your health pass. Is that health pass downloading all of your health information? How much access did you give them? You know, and just start going in there and looking, because, you know, Facebook settled a $650 million case that was brought against them for collecting and storing digital scans of user faces in violations with a Biometric Information Privacy Act in Illinois. So these are being proven that this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
But like I said, just like the pharmaceutical companies, they put into their finances money for knowing that eventually somebody's going to sue them because it's wrong. But they don't care because the profits are too big. Also, a lot of people are doing these things where they're using their finger. I mean, I was guilty of it. I've stopped. Their finger or their face. Right now, you can go to Whole Foods in Manhattan or to any of a lot of the bodegas and small businesses that closed down, I noticed, are becoming Amazon to go, where there's no people in there. I guess they're in the back. But you put up your hand, and that's how you pay.
In California, all the Whole Foods, a lot of places are working in conjunction with Amazon on that feature.
Yeah, Whole Foods here too. You put up your hand. So you know what? You haven't been arrested, so they shouldn't have your fingerprints. But out of convenience, you're giving them to them.
Yep.
And what else are they getting on that? When you do your face thing for Apple, so then you look at your phone and it lets you in, which I disabled. That is they're tracking and tracing your face. So that is how the social credit stuff works in China. If you've ever seen videos of what it looks like to the authorities, everyone in China has a number based on their facial recognition. And it goes beyond that. In your home, I understand Alexis, makes life easier and all of that. But please look at where the data from what you're doing, saying, what is being tracked in your home that you don't know about? Because a lot of it is. And Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome, are the two browsers there. It's 72% of combined market share. Google had to pay $100 million to settle a class action suit for facial recognition features used to automatically identify individuals from photos and videos uploaded to Google Photos. Microsoft is facing a similar lawsuit right now. The question is, who are they giving those photos to? And why? What is the issue? And did you agree to this? And that's also in your house, because Ring is also being sued, and Alexa is apparently collecting stuff. We all saw the IRS tried to, during COVID, say that you had to download an app called ID.me to give facial recognition to the IRS. Now think about where the IRS is going now.
Yeah, no kidding.
So they said that you couldn't.
Luckily, people were awake enough to tell them to pound sand when that came out. There was outrage to that. I was shocked actually that all the sheep screamed.
I'm really glad.
It was encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about it a long time ago. That was the plan, but also something we talked about that you have to keep in mind is who they're hiring, because they're hiring under these new diversity, equity, inclusion hiring systems, which aren't about, they're not hiring the best accountants, which you would think would be what they're hiring at the IRS. They're hiring people based on their skin color, their gender, their sexuality first.
Levels of compliance.
Yeah. And it's not, because if they were really doing something and also they're going to target 75,000 to 150,000 a year.
Yeah.
So that everything all you have to do is look at what it says. But that is because they're broke. So when you're broke and you're a government, you're going to come after us. And inflation is just a hidden tax. They need our money. That bill is $750 billion in new taxes hidden in every way they can. But again, so IRS, believe me, I think it's going to come back around if we don't stop this ship, which I don't think it's going to get this far. But they want you downloading ID.me and putting in your biometric data, your facial recognition to file your taxes. But here's the crazy part. 64 million users in America already did that with the IRS. Because because that's what was happening to sign up for federal assistance during COVID and COVID checks.
Wow.
So, they're trusting the IRS at the time to get their COVID PPP money or any of that. You got to also know that your children's schools, there's Clearview AI visitor management system in schools being put in schools all over before the current round of hell being unleashed on the children. And these they're collecting 20 billion facial scans around the world. And these are of your kids. Yep. And right after the Uvalde shooting, they had a meeting, school safety emergency summit, where they discussed full facial recognition systems in every school in the country.
If you're a parent watching this show right now, if you're a parent watching this show, by the time you let your kid out of the car to go to school, or probably by the time they've had breakfast, the Chinese government has seen your child's face more times than you will this week.
Man.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That is
it's already
fact.
in China.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is what they're going for, because it's already in China. In China, this was in the Wall Street Journal. Classrooms in China have robots that analyze students' health, engagement levels, and mental cognizance. Students wear uniforms with chips in them that track their location and other things. There are surveillance cameras everywhere in school and check how often students check their phones or yawn during class and other regular behaviors. The Chinese government funded research projects that has eliminated all privacy and privacy protection for students while in school across the board.
Wow.
So, and we knew that during remote learning, I talked about it in your show and other shows, there were about 10 companies involved on the back end, including Panorama and other ones that were pushing CRT and all of that stuff and SEL. But they were making dossiers on everyone's kid. And that was through Google Classrooms, Microsoft, obviously a partner. Mm-hmm. And also a lot of people were doing the Zoom school. But then there were about 5 or 6 other tech companies on the back end, and then the education ones that are in cahoots with the teachers union, mm-hmm. They were doing everything from checking how many times your kid's eyes blinked to anyone that smirked. I mean, they were judging you emotional, social governance mm-hmm. of your kids in real time on that's why a lot of the teachers unions are in cahoots with all of this. Mm-hmm. So they at least that the American Federation for Teachers, Weingarten, that really wanted to keep the schools shut down and everything. Pay attention to the school districts out there that are doing this, because you should look at what contracts they took. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you that, and then the other thing is your store, when you go to the store, you go to the bank, you go to, anywhere you're going, that a lot of these places are now using this facial recognition and using your finger or your hand or your handprint. And they are turning it into a data collection and a data mining business, billions and billions of dollars. It's saying $2.7 billion business of banks, retailers, hospitals, health clinics, and other places are using fingerprint scans, eye retina scans, iris scanning, facial patterns, facial recognition, voice recognition. And it does call out in this article, Amazon and Amazon Go and Amazon Whole Foods, but mm-hmm. it's not just them. And then, of course, we all know about the CLEAR program, and that in 2024, U.S. Customs underneath Biden is planning to use biometric scanners to up the unconstitutional TSA. So TSA is planning under the Biden DHS, which is protecting our country really well, we know, to roll out digital IDs in which a scanning device will display the passenger's biometric match and digital ID authentication results before getting through a checkpoint. So, and I don't say this to scare people. I say this to say, protect yourself, protect your mm-hmm. family. You don't have to consent to any of this. We have to create some kind of parallel environment and a way to live, but we can do that. We just have to remember that before big tech and social media and all these people took over, our lives were much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree.
People were healthier.
There's a lot of technology that's helpful, but the technology isn't helpful if it's not in the hands of people wanting to help us.
Well, just know anything that's, just write this down. Anything that's free, if it's free, you're the product.
Yep. Exactly. They're getting paid somehow.
Yeah.
Man, Mel, this was so eye-opening. Thank you so much for your time. Again, you can get the graphics by texting 40509, the word Mel, to 40509. Definitely go to themelkshow.com, register for the newsletter, and check out the resources. Mel, thank you so much for your time. This was eye-opening. There's some work I need to do right now.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Mm-hmm. And again, my big advice is always start looking for private banks that are giving back to your community, and
yes.
Start figuring out ways. Like, if they can't centralize us all into this matrix, they can't succeed. Okay. Right. So the more of us that say no, and the good news is, because we did a whole show on the fraud and the just complete unconstitutional ESG score, we now have 15 states that are saying that they will not allow them to any business to do business in their state if they implement this World Economic Forum, BlackRock, Fink pushed ESG score, that it's bogus, it's anti-American, and it's unconstitutional. So good news is that people are fighting back.
don't feel overwhelmed like you have to do all this at one time, or like so overwhelmed that you don't do anything. Like, do something. We've been at this for a long time now.
Get the apps off your phone. And Stop wearing your watch. There's like things to do.
There's a dozen things now. We got notes here, like do this. Stacey's got stars by things here.
I'm like, okay, I got some things to do.
We got to take action on that. A year and a half ago, we left Bank of America. We had like 8 accounts there, like gone. We're with a local community bank. Do the next right thing, then do the next right thing, and then do the next right thing. Take steps, but don't stop. Do something. Right. Do something to begin removing yourself from this. Because if we just did the banking thing, the world would bow its knee. The World Economic Forum would bow its knee. They would retreat. This is where this war is taking place. Not on a battlefield. It's where you spend your money. And you just got to stop and pull back and be smart. Do one right thing and then do the next right thing.
Yep, that's right.
They have no authority. They're demanding that they have authority because they're billionaires and trillionaires and run the banks and the media and the multinational corporations. But they're a small group of people that, without us participating, have nothing. And all these bills. Look, I think God's in control. God's coming in for the big reveal around the corner. In the meantime, don't participate in what they're trying to make you participate in. It's not for your own good. It's not for convenience. Like you said, if it's free, you're the product. And I just want to end on probably the smartest man, in my opinion, of all the founders of this country. Ben Franklin said, "Those who give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." And I think that's where we are right now.
That's so true. Drop the mic. That's incredible. Mel, Thanks again, Mel.
We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
For more great content, go to flyoverconservatives.com.
Hey guys, Mel K here. I'm super excited to be back with my friends from My Daily Choice. We have been partnering up and getting out there the best products, CBD products you can find. We believe in natural remedies and that God put everything that we need here on earth. And I have found that this product especially is as pure and as potent as can be, but it's also made in America by America. And it's, why don't you tell me a little bit about it, ladies, because it's really changing lives.
Well, it's changing lives because we all have an endocannabinoid system that none of us knew about, and it controls all your other body systems. It keeps it in homeostasis or balance. So when you're taking the oil twice a day, you're just going to see so many changes in so many different areas.
Yeah. And there's a whole product line that we have, and it's done so much for me. In terms of sleep, there's products for pain, there's products for, there's coffee, there's so many ways to get this into your system. But once it does, it really does make a big change in general, also with mood and with just staying all day on an even keel. That's really been helpful. So thank you so much, guys. I love being your partners at My Daily Choice. We are the Mel K Show. Go to our partners page and you can find a link. And the products line's great, and there's plenty of options. And I am excited to have you guys try it and let me know how it goes. Thank you so much, ladies. I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Guys, I've been warning for months and months about the World Economic Forum and the private Western Central Bank Great Reset. On top of that, the ESG proposed by Larry Fink and BlackRock, which is the CCP social credit score tied to the central bank digital currency, which would end privacy and autonomy for all free people on planet Earth. Just recently at the World Economic Forum, these people got together and decided that not only will they have a central bank digital currency, but that it will be tied to a universal ID that every person on the planet would have to receive. This ID would track and trace everything from your financial life to your health records, to your social justice, to your environmental footprint, to everything that you can imagine. Your business, your expenditures, your groceries, everything that you do in life would be monitored, tracked, and traced by these people in Davos, if they can get away with it. I don't believe they can, because we the people and God Almighty have the power. You have to make the moves today. Invest in silver and gold and other hard assets. Get your money into small banks, credit unions, and savings and loans that are local and benefit your local community, and start preparing in your home with supplies and whatever you need going forward. We the people and God Almighty will save this planet, but that means we have to take action steps to walk away from the central bank digital currency and their planned Great Reset. Do that today, please. God bless you and your family, and God bless and save America and all free people on planet Earth. No matter what, God wins, but we need to make the moves now.
Hey!